So inside the engineering notebooks, these are some of the stuff you're going to find. The problem that you've found that you need to solve, right? It's the idea that, hey, I need to come up with a device that lets me light up my desk better, right? That's the problem you're discovering. Any research you do, like you write it down in there, or I went to IKEA and I saw this, that, it doesn't fit the right dimensions, but they use LED bulbs, whatever. Sketches with labels and descriptions. So if you're going to jot down or describe this little lamp that you're going to put on your desk, and we'll just call it a lamp for now as an example, you sketch that out and you add descriptions. It's not just a sketch, you have to describe it. Do not forget that. Any brainstorming you have to do. Is it different shapes? Is it where you're going to attach it? Like all those different ideas you put in there. Your calculations, right? If you're calculating your wattage and your electrical output, make sure you don't burn the thing out, you should put that in there so people can see it. Any daily thoughts or ideas on that project. Pictures that you might have for inspiration. If you speak with an expert, let's say you talk to an electrician, you write their name, their position, their contact info, and details of that conversation that you had. If you're working in a group, you also put your whatever session you're on and you summarize that meeting. Testing procedures, like how did you test it out? How did you know that this was the correct light? How did you know that this was the correct battery? Right? You do a test, you write how you did your test, so you write the procedures, you write down the results, and then you write down the conclusion. Remember, your results would be like this lasted 10 hours, this lasted 20 hours, this lasted 30 hours, whatever. And then your conclusion is, I picked this bulb because it lasts 30 hours and it's the cheapest bulb, or whatever. So your results and conclusions are two separate things. Results are what happens from your test, and your conclusions are what you decide and go with. Any digital or technical drawings should go in there. You can just print those out and tape those right in, or you just do it by hand. Any design modifications. So let's say you came up with this idea to 3D print a stand for your lamp, and then you realize that that stand is not heavy enough, and the lamp just tips over. So then you decide to add a lead weight inside. Okay, you add that design modification in there. So everything you think or do relate to a specific project goes in that notebook. So your notebook can be broken up into several sections. First off is your title page, that's your front page. Table of contents, remember that's the first 3 or 4 pages after the back of your title page. You don't write on the back of your title page. Then just your general chronological entries, and then any references or business expert contacts you put in there as well. Standard page layout looks like this. It's a quad roll page. That means you have a graph paper page, if you will. All pages are numbered. They are dated, as you can see on the bottom of the page. They are signed by the designer, and they are signed ideally by a witness. Now, I know some of you guys aren't going to have a witness all the time, especially when we're not in school. If you get your parents to sign it, that's great. If not, I understand. I'll let that slide for now. But definitely, once you start getting in the habit, and especially once you get physically back in the classroom, you do have to have another student sign it, or someone else sign it at the end of the day to prove that you did it. Remember, this is a legal document. That's the reason why it has to be signed. So first off, all work is done in pen. Pen is supposed to be permanent. That's why we use pen and not pencil. Second, markers that bleed through the page or paper are not used. Okay, so you want to be able to write on the back as well. Pages are sequential. They are numbered in ink on the top outside edge. Notebooks are bound. Okay, notice how all these notebooks have a bound. They're a hardcover. You cannot use a 3-ring binder. I repeat, you cannot use a 3-ring binder. I know a lot of you want to do that. I know it's cheaper. I know that a lot of you think, why does it suck that I have to have my 3-ring binder and a notebook at the same time? Again, I am teaching you guys professionalism. This is how it works in the industry. The reason why it's bound is nothing can be added or taken away, and that way it is a legal document. Entries begin at the top of the page. You work from left to right, top to bottom, just like normal. You do not leave any blank spaces. If there is an extra space, draw an X or line across and sign it. Okay, again, you want to make sure that nothing can just be added in there at random. So let's talk about some best practices that you guys got to do. First off, if you make a mistake, you draw a line through it. You don't scratch it out. You enter the correct information and you initial the change. Never erase or remove anything. Okay. So for example, when I was doing this, made a couple mistakes down here. So I just crossed them out with a single line. Okay. I know I didn't initial it. Again, this is before I started getting and doing all the habits, so forgive me. But you never want to erase or remove anything because you want to see that thought process. You want to see that logic, and you want to see what mistakes were made.